Switzerland did not send soldiers. It did not build camps. It did not need to. It had something far quieter, far more patient, far more devastating. It had paperwork, and a charity, and a plan that ran for 47 years before anyone outside the system was allowed to know it existed. This is not a story about a war. This is not a story about a dictatorship. This happened in one of the wealthiest, most respected democracies on earth. And the victims were children. The Yenish people had traveled the roads of Switzerland for centuries. They were not criminals. They were not dangerous. They were basket weavers, musicians, knife sharpeners, traders. They moved with the seasons. They raised their children on the road. They had a language, a culture, a way of life that had survived for generations. In 1926, Switzerland decided that way of life needed to end, not through violence, through something they called welfare. Juventute was not a shadowy organization. It was one of Switzerland's most respected charities. Founded in 1912, endorsed by politicians, church leaders, businessmen, trusted by the entire nation. And in 1926, a man named Alfred Siegfried took over a division inside Juventute and quietly launched a program called Hilfswerk für die Kinder der Landstrasse. In English, the relief organization for the children of the country road. Relief. That was the word they chose. The plan was simple. Identify Yenish families. Declare the parents unfit. Remove the children. Place them in institutions, orphanages, psychiatric wards, and farm households where they would work as cheap labor. Give them new names. Forbid them from speaking Yenish. And never tell them who they were. The goal written in their own documents was to eliminate vagrancy. But the historians who later studied those files used a different word. Erasure. Between 1926 and 1973, approximately 590 Yenish children were formally processed through the program. But the total number of children separated from Yenish families, including removals carried out directly by cantonal authorities, is estimated at nearly 2,000. 2,000 children, taken from their mothers, taken from their fathers, by a charity, with government stamps, with judicial signatures, with the full cooperation of Swiss police. Some children were placed with farm families and worked from before sunrise. Some were transferred between institutions so frequently they had no chance to form a single stable relationship. One survivor was moved 26 times before she was 13 years old. 26 different places. 26 times her world was dismantled and reassembled by strangers. Historians later wrote that the constant relocation was not accidental. It was policy, because a child with no roots cannot find their way back. And the parents? They wrote letters. Hundreds of letters, begging to know where their children were, begging to visit, begging to be told if their child was alive. Many of those letters were never answered. Some parents spent decades searching. Some died without ever seeing their child again. And the children who were eventually released into the world as teenagers had no identity, no community, no family, and no memory of who they had been before the system took them. Now here is where this story turns into something that should make every person watching stop breathing for a moment. Alfred Siegfried, the man who built this program, was himself a convicted criminal. Before he launched Kinder der Landstrasse, he had been convicted by a Basel court of sexual misconduct against a student. The authorities knew. Juventute knew. And they agreed, in writing, to keep it quiet. This man was given custody, legal guardianship, and total administrative control over hundreds of Yenish children. For decades, Juventute also pursued another goal that never made the charity brochures. They wanted to reduce the Yenish birth rate. Deliberately, systematically, Yenish women were subjected to forced sterilizations. Marriage between Yenish people was blocked through administrative barriers. The United Nations Genocide Convention of 1948 explicitly lists the forced transfer of children from one ethnic group to another as genocide. It explicitly lists measures intended to prevent births within a group as genocide. Every legal scholar who has studied this case in depth has noted those criteria were met. In April 1972, a journalist named Hans Caprez published an article in the Swiss magazine Beobachter. He had been handed the files by Yenish survivors who had spent years trying to get anyone to listen. The article was called Kinder der Landstrasse. Switzerland read it, and the outrage was immediate. In 1973, Juventute dissolved the program. In 1986, the Swiss president issued a formal apology. In 1987, Juventute itself apologized. The Swiss government paid surviving victims between 2,000 and 20,000 Swiss francs. And then, not one person was ever prosecuted. Not Siegfried. Not the caseworkers. Not the judges who signed the guardianship orders. Not the officials who authorized the sterilizations. Not one. In February 2025, not 1975, not 1995, February 2025, the Swiss government formally acknowledged that what was done to the Yenish people constituted a crime against humanity under international law. It took 99 years. 99 years from the launch of the program to that acknowledgement. And the survivors and their descendants are still waiting for full justice. There are Yenish people alive today who were separated as infants and still do not know their siblings' names. Still do not know their real family names. Still do not know who they were before Switzerland decided to erase them. This did not happen in a country without laws. This did not happen in a country without courts. This did not happen in a country without international oversight. This happened in Switzerland. With letterheads. With rubber stamps. With respectable signatures. With charitable donations funding every step. The most dangerous atrocities in history are not always the loudest. Some of them come with a logo. Some of them come with a mission statement. Some of them come with a smile and a clipboard and a form that needs your signature. The Yenish had a word for the roads they traveled. Those roads were not just how they moved. They were home. They were freedom. They were identity. Juventute's program did not just take children. It took the road itself away from an entire people, and then told the world it had done them a favor. If you are still watching this, if you made it to this moment, you already understand something most people will never know. Because most people have never heard the name Kinder der Landstrasse. Most people have never heard of the Yenish. Most people do not know that a Swiss charity spent 47 years dismantling an ethnic minority from the inside out and called it child protection. You know now, and that changes what you are responsible for. Share this video right now, not later, right now, because there are people on your timeline who have never heard this story. People who think atrocities only happen in places they can point to on a map. People who need to know that erasure does not always announce itself. And drop the word remember in the comments below. Not for the algorithm, for the record, for the 2,000 children who were never given the chance to be remembered by anyone. And one more thing, go to the Odd Archive Facebook page right now and leave a review. Not because we are asking for a favor, because Facebook's system uses reviews to decide which pages get pushed to new audiences. Every review you leave is a direct vote for whether stories like this one, the Yenish, the Magdalene laundries, the comfort women, the residential schools, get seen by thousands more people or stay buried. You watch this to the end. That means something. Now make it count.